rights management to blockchain. I would quickly like to request our moderator and panelists to kindly come and join us on stage. Let me start by calling our first speaker, Mr. Anuj Gurwara. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Mr. Anuj is a creator, communicator, entertainer, educator, and an artist. Welcome, sir. Followed by our next speaker, Mr. Rajat Ojha. Mr. Rajat is the CEO of Gamitronics. Ladies and gentlemen, come on, let's pump it up with some great energies. And now it's time to call our moderator for this discussion, Mr. Rajesh Dhuddu. SVP and Global Business Head, Emerging Technology Tech Mahindra. Mr. Rajesh is a blockchain and cybersecurity leader for USD 5.2 billion IT giant Tech Mahindra. He was instrumental in installation blockchain practice at Tech Mahindra that made blockchain real and valuable for several global customers. Well, on that note, without a further ado, the stage is all yours, gentlemen. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the kind introduction. Just a small correction. It is digital rights management. Uh, it's quite a touchy topic, right? In terms of the piracy, the content piracy, and then it's very relevant from our daily lives perspective as well. So here we are fortunate to have two leading people in this industry to share their views. Before I ask them for their views, I just wanted to give some bit of a context. I was doing some research and going through in terms of the numbers, how big is the problem? The global piracy is estimated at about $100 billion. It's quite a lot of money. And these two gentlemen can validate on an average, the content creator loses 70% of the revenue. 70% of the revenue that has been generated is lost by the content producer. And more important, why we are talking about this topic here in Hyderabad and in India, because Asia is the biggest market for piracy. 58% of the global piracy happens in Asia. So while these are interesting fun facts for you guys, let's look at in terms of what has happened in this industry over the years. We do a lot of safeguarding of this particular content using a technology called watermark technology. Can anybody guess when was this watermark technology was introduced? It was introduced way back in the year 1993, about 30 years ago. So over the last 30 years, we have seen an explosion in the content, prolific consumption of content. Many content distribution channels were non-existent at that point of time. And we are still using a technology that is 30 years old to safeguard the new age content that is getting generated. So what we'll do is we'll start with Rajat. Rajat is a founder of Gamitronics. He runs one of the world's most successful metaverse called Party Night. Party Night is a place where Daler Mehendi had premiered some of his songs recently, Rajat, if I get that fact correctly. And then we have Anuj Gurwara, who is one of the leading content producer in India. If you enjoyed the Magadira songs, they were composed, written, they were sung by him. So he corrects me something related to the piracy of the content, right? I am already corrected here on the panel. So the songs were sung by him, and he also produces a phenomenal amount of content. I think one of your video on the take between Bangalore and Hyderabad went viral.
हाँ नहीं वेदर कितना अच्छा है देखो बैंगलोर वाले बोलते रहते हैं लेकिन 3-3 घंटे ट्रैफिक में अटके रहे तो और क्या दिखता वेदर इज दिखता नहीं
So guys, a big round of applause, please. So, Rajat, in terms of you've been involved in the content industry, you've set up this metaverse, the Party Night metaverse. Extremely proud of this initiative from India. How have you tackled piracy over a period of time from an enterprise perspective? And then we'll get views from Anuj from an individual perspective.
Sure. So, yeah,
Thank you, everyone who's still around, and thank you for the tolerance and because it takes entire day, and appreciate you being here. So very quickly, so we built Party Night, and we're working with a lot of artists, be it A.R. Rahman, sir, or Sonu Nigam and Amit Trivedi, and all these. But essentially, I'm a gamer, and I started long back buying pirated games from Connaught Place, Palika Bazaar for 30 rupees, and so I'm part of that problem, I was. And one fine day, I realized that, hey, I'm aspiring to be a game developer. It's not honest on my side to at least one software I should actually buy should be the game. Microsoft Office, Windows, probably I'll, I'll still do, but games I should not pirate, and that was the beginning, and I had seen the entire DRM journey, and especially so when Sony PlayStation came, it was big backfire on them because it was DRM protected and all those kind of things. But now, what we have done and what we are seeing as on today is that, as Rajesh rightly mentioned, that this entire DRM is so old, right? The technology, pirates, everything have like gone, surpassed everything. We have so many ways of pirating any content and putting up there. And DRM is like was interesting fact. In 2017, there was a very interesting experiment done by some of the largest players, all four, Warner, EMI, Sony, and Universal, big four in the music industry. They removed DRM for a year. And what they saw 10% revenue growth and 40% more on the niche content creators growth. Because DRM was a choker block, because it helps for a lot of people, but it actually is very counterintuitive and counterproductive for actual users. Like, why? And it always bothered us as the content creator. And since we are, be it games, so game is again a very artistic expression, right? It requires a lot of concept art, drawings, painting, music, sound, performances, everything. And I'm like very attached to that thing. And that's when we decided, okay, when we are building, something, let's build our own chain. And we built our own blockchain instead of using anything which existed in the market, which solely focuses on how to create a transparent structure, not just for the, publishers. Even if I say like I create a blockchain or there is a blockchain, we can always write smart contract, but who's writing those smart contracts? Who's it favoring? Is it actually helping us? Because smart contract is just a line of certain things of, the checklist kind of a thing, and I can always say, okay, they are done for me. He's still getting his royalty. What we do, we work very closely with the artist community, and at the same time, we have like all of lawyers and the publishers. It's an ecosystem work very good everywhere, and we have created smart contract optimizing. So as probably the blockchain is an append the only data, right? So we just appending it as forward we go forward. And then we build upon that how we are addressing. We're not saying you to change and training everything step by forward step. There's so much more, but I would let not enter anything. What you're basically is pyramid problem, whether you're individual, or institutional, you're an institutional, and then you bring about important aspect. You basically say in a utopian world, all the copyrights, and then maximize the content distribution. But ultimately, we cannot forget the word profit. So we have to bring DRM back and where that belongs to. And then I also see from your own vantage point that blockchain. DRM is not bad. It's not bad. Centralized DRM is bad. Decentralized DRM is absolutely what we are doing. Centralized DRM is controlled by the distributors and publishers. They decide. Right. So basically, you're saying those digital rights managed rights are not in favor of the content creators. They're more in the favor of content distributors. Anuj, when we spoke
before this event, you brought about important aspects about you contributing so much of content, but not being able to monetize it fully. So how does it stand from an individual point of view? What's your take on content creation and piracy, and how can we overcome this?
Right. First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm not, I mean, I think all of you are digital creators. We create content. The digital creation of platforms and services is what you do. So really, you are digital creators in your own right. The reason I'm here is because I am an artist. I operate in many verticals of communications, entertainment, and broadcast. But I'm also a tech enthusiast. And my tech enthusiasm began with copying songs from different audio cassettes and making my own mixtape to give it to the girl that I had a crush on in school at that point of time. We've come a long way now to, having grown through copying CDs and DVDs to Napster and LimeWire to now, downloading Instagram reels and sending them across. I'll give you two use cases as a front stage individual creator, content creator. One is I debuted as a playback singer with a film called Magadhira, as you very kindly mentioned. I sang one song which thankfully became quite a hit, a song called Panchadara Bomma. It was my debut song as a playback singer. And I don't know Telugu. I'm a Punjabi boy who's grown up in Hyderabad. I'm completely Hyderabadi. But a few weeks after the song released, after the film released, this song went on to top the charts. And everybody in my universe was very happy that, wow, it's playing everywhere. It's streaming everywhere. I mean, at that point of time, just on YouTube or mobile phones. But we had a very interesting concept called caller tunes, where people would call you and they would hear a song, and you could set a song of your choice and pay a certain amount of money. I think it was 10 rupees a month or 15 rupees a month. And every time I would call people or people would call me, of course, I had that as my caller tune because original song hai, apna hai. So, but when I would call people and I'd hear that song all over the place, at one point of time, I remember reading a newspaper article which said that Panchadara Bomma at that point of time in 2010 had generated 3 crores of revenue only from caller tunes. That's the amount of revenue that was generated. Now, thank you very much. I didn't see any of that money, so this is discount blazer. But I'm kidding. But what I'm trying to say is, as a singer, when I started exploring the industry, I was told by my peers and my seniors in the industry that, listen, you might get paid for that you record. You might not get paid because sometimes music directors are doing a favor by giving you a song. So you might not get paid. And if you get lucky and your song is a hit, go on, do your live shows, make your money there. So if you're making 10 rupees here with a song, for example, you can hope to make 100 rupees on your live shows. So that's the standardized system before the royalties, came in, before a lot of the singers' unions and associations started batting for royalties for singers as well. Now, the royalties come in, of course, they're divided between the producer, they're divided between the music composer, the lyricist, and then a little bit of it comes to the artist. So it's not exactly a monetizable career option. It's something that gets you a lot of name and fame, but not necessarily revenue. The other example that I would give you from 2009, if I jump into now with social media, I created this reel on the Hyderabad-Bangalore traffic and the weather situation, which went viral across the board. I mean, Brute India covered it, India Today, a lot of publications covered it. But the interesting thing was that a few days after this reel went viral, I started seeing it circulated across WhatsApp groups. So it started with Bangalore groups that look at this guy who's talking about our city, and then it just circulated across India and the world. So in the day, I would have hundreds of messages saying, hey, I saw this on my group, and hey, dude, I saw this on my group. And in the nighttime, in the day, it would be from the Indian time zone. In the night, it was being circulated across the Indian communities in America and Europe. So the amount of circulation that it had didn't exactly translate into views for me personally on my Instagram account or my Twitter account, because people had downloaded the video and circulated it on WhatsApp, and then you can't backtrack. I do not know how many millions of streams per se had happened on WhatsApp without me knowing. Now, this is what I do. It's one of my careers is being a content creator. So if I'm hoping to monetize this, if I'm hoping to have some revenue out of this, the only hope that I have is to get enough traction so that maybe brands could come in tomorrow and say, hey, we'll give you X amount of money and maybe you can talk about our product or service. But how do I directly monetize this? If this is how, if there is no ownership mechanism, if there's no digital ownership, or tracking of where this
Understood.
goes. So these are the two use cases amongst many others. I'll just also add a quick point. 2 days ago, I was reading an interview by Christopher Nolan, and he said very interestingly that in the day of streaming, if you own a DVD or a video cassette of a film, if you have it in your house right now, you actually own a physical piece of history. Because if you think that you own that digital copy that you have, which is being played on Netflix, you don't, because they are renting it to you. They own it. And if tomorrow, for some reason, the streaming service decides to stop uh, publishing that piece of content, that film, it'll be lost in the cyberverse and you will never see it again. So for content creators which are beyond just the individual ones like me, whether it's filmmakers, whether it's music publishers, I think there needs to be a way of decentralizing content ownership and digital rights so that it remains in perpetuity and helps everybody monetize whoever is part of that ecosystem and helps the entire industry grow. So
Thank
back
you.
to
Thank you so much, Anuj. So one thing which is coming out emphatically from you both is in terms of move away from centralized control mechanisms to decentralized control mechanisms. Number two, give the power in the hands of the content creator. It's like, I somehow I have this feeling when you have a wedding, the wedding guy suffers, but everybody else enjoys on the behalf of the wedding guy, right? Everybody else is going to the party except the person who is undergoing the wedding. So the analogy is somewhat similar to the content producers out here. They're creating everything, but the rest of the people are laughing to the bank, but not the content creator. Now, coming back from the tech side. So from became very, very clear in terms of this clarion need for a technology to address this problem. And as I told you before, uh, digital rights management through watermark is a 30-year-old technology. A high school kid can rip it off and then generate a content which is free of the watermark technology. That's where the decentralized architectures as well as technology like blockchain has a potential to solve this particular problem. So we know the problem is there, and we know the solution also. So let's turn the spotlight back on these two gentlemen. You know that there is a problem and there is a solution. To what extent has it been adopted?
Oh, nice. So we are fairly, successful, like I would say. Not there yet. We know where we are headed to, the right direction. So what we have done, we have taken 3 steps process. Number one is that we have put the entire metadata on the distributed ledgers, which is typical blockchain. So it solves the one problem that you know where it's tracking. The digital footprint of that is there. The validation is completely done using consensus mechanism and all that. But the third part, which is important, is that we have built an algorithm to on the validation node run the PBFT, the fraud detection, and all those things and stuff, and run that PBFT and the related algorithms. It's using this thing and create a very transparent and automated system of royalty using stablecoin. And that for us, and that's one of the reason why the biggest of the big, yesterday itself, we signed a Hollywood movie called Dunwich. It's a, Lovecraft Call of Cthulhu movie. And we are already working with over 80 production houses globally, Tollywood, Bollywood, and Hollywood, and a lot of artist community, not just singers and stuff, but at the same time, digital artists, content creators, painters, and all those guys. We're working because we're showing them the result. So I think this is definitely and in the entire long road of kilometers, we are inching towards that thing. It's much better because one of the things which I wanted to highlight again is that because of the existing broken royalty mechanism. Year on year, artists are not getting roughly average out 1.3 billion US dollar worth of money they actually own, right? They deserve just because.
Can
they-
you say that number slowly, please, a little? Just like
How about I say 130000000?
With the last,
I'm at the zero right now, so let's not go to that word. But sorry to
So the thing is that so this is really a pain point, especially because you know they have done the hard work of creating and everything. They put it up there, and they're not, even though the royalty is showing up in the the ledger and everything of the publishers and distributors, still they are not getting it because there are so many systems that if you make less than $100 a month, we will not transfer this money to you.
Yeah.
If you do this, it will not happen. Why? Like just doesn't make any sense. It's his money. He wants to live on that $100. So but still they command all their rules favoring them. So what we did is like $1 transaction, now he gets his 18 cents right away, through stable coin. So this is how we are addressing it in our party night. And of course, it's a fun place. So it's not just the thing you can just come and play, hang out. It's a chalta firta Tinder, LinkedIn, however you want to use it.
That's wonderful to know, Rajat. In fact, I think the focus is not on the technology. The focus is on the experience that it provides to those content creators. And as you rightly said, $100 can be a rounding off error for a CFO, but it can be a question of life and death for the content producer.
I mean, absolutely. If you are looking at even social media platforms today, I'm not completely technically well versed in the back end, programming or development of these. But if I'm not wrong, then they've not fully adopted to the blockchain tech yet. With whether it's Meta, whether it's
Right.
and
Counterproductive. It's like it doesn't work for them.
yeah, it doesn't work for them because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
when we sign up to these platforms and accept their terms and conditions without reading, you are in a sense signing over all of your rights to them, whatever you
That's it.
post. You don't even realize the images, the videos, everything is you sign over your rights. For instance, when suddenly, I think a couple of years ago, when Google Photos they're going to now start charging for Google Drive for
Right,
space.
right.
It won't be unlimited. It's because they were done learning everything they needed to learn from your data.
Okay.
And like they say, when something is offered free to you, you are the product. So it's literally what's happening. So, and especially WhatsApp in a country like India, where trillions and trillions of conversations happen, media is exchanged. I think if we start tracing back, one, it will erase misinformation.
Right.
Most importantly, our WhatsApp groups will become cleaner. But most importantly, content that's shared across, if you are able to trace content rights back to the creator or somehow be able to link it to who created it rather than just have a name watermark. Like what I've started doing now is any piece of content that I put out, any video that I put out, I put a little bit of my name and my handle on it. So even if it's shared on WhatsApp, people can read that this was created by Anuj Gurwara. And if they want, they can go over to my social media feed and follow me and all of that. But if that can be instituted, it'll really help content creators. It'll help aspiring content creators, not just depend on brands and products to give you work. That's a very small market of the entire content being created. Absolutely. And not just that, if you remember the abrupt exit of TikTok from India, it's one of the couple of countries in the world that doesn't allow TikTok. Creators were left in a vacuum. So tomorrow, if Instagram or Meta decides to, for whatever reason, take Instagram off the shelves, or the Indian government, for whatever policy, decides that Instagram is not going to be part of our social media universe, creators are going to be left hanging in the cyber vacuum, saying this is what we had done, and now what about our work? And that's where decentralization comes in and assures some kind of validity of the work you've done. I guess if I'm not wrong with
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, in terms of wonderful points that are coming to the fore, right? What Anuj had said, a lot of content producers place their trust on the big boys of the industry. Now, let's see in terms of what these big boys do. We've gone and looked at Meta. We've gone and looked at X. We've gone and looked at Insta. So what are these guys are going to do? They're going to say that copyright is forbidden, and we ensure that copyright infringements do not happen. Copyright violation is forbidden, and copyright infringements do not happen. And then you have a content reporting tool where you can go and log in your complaint. That's it. You don't have visibility beyond that particular aspect. So the need is there. In fact, it's an express need in terms of how to disrupt these age-old practices and bring in something like decentralized digital rights management. It could be powered by blockchain or may not be powered by blockchain, but as long as it is decentralized in nature, where the control is in the hands of the creators, but not in the hands of distributors, and the money is put back where it rightfully belongs to, in the wallet of the producer, then we would have accomplished a big thing. That resonate with you both?
Absolutely. So, in fact, that's why I wanted to, so I was raising my hand to say this, but every single time we have seen time and again, there's a tech revolution, a new company, a new country emerges, right? And this is definitely India's time. And we are thriving in the Web3 space by default, and we are redefining the rules. Today, we are world's most visited metaverse for a reason. Forbes has rated us that, and we are very proud of that fact. But the point here is that be it, when Yahoo was dominating that search space, how Google came, and then so on and so forth. Spotify, when we started talking about democratizing all the listening experiences and stuff, so Spotify came from nowhere, became so big. So
Right.
this is exactly what is happening. So these big boys, because transparency is not their thing, and we are talking about transparency here. They can bring another terms and condition which nobody reads, and you'll just accept that and go with it. And I'm pretty sure that there'll be a new, something new is emerging somewhere. And while we are
Absolutely.
talking about.
Absolutely. Do you want to say anything? So in terms of, it's not only relevant from an individual content creator's perspective, right? There has been this case study wherein a company was shut down by Netflix because they were found infringing on the geo distribution of the content. They did not infringe on the content per se, but they were not supposed to distribute the content in geolocations where they're not licensed to. And Netflix decided to go after them. And while the value of the content that got created was few $1 million, the legal suit from Netflix was tens of millions of dollars.
True.
Then the company decided to just go belly up rather than fight the big boy.
But on the flip side, there was also a content company that, if I'm not wrong, if my information is not wrong, that Netflix acquired, which had digital rights to a lot of films and documentaries and from a journalistic point of view. And when Netflix acquired that company, it acquired all the rights to those films. And it decided to bury those films forever because those films spoke about a lot of human rights violations in certain countries, if you know what I mean. And the government policy of the United States did not allow or did not create a conducive atmosphere for Netflix to stream those particular films.
Right.
So on the flip side, you
Right.
had Netflix itself burying those films forever. So whoever the producers or the creators of those films were, or those voices that came out in support of human rights or social policies across the world, they were completely buried because of government policy again. So in a country which advocates free speech the way America does, so under the garb of corporate policy, that's where it went.
Understood. Understood. So another important thing that comes up from these two gentlemen is it is not just about digital rights management per se. It is also about rightful calculation of royalties and the distribution of that money in a rightful manner. And if you look at some of the royalty management practices, even in large companies, I'll be under trouble if I take their names out on the stage, but they're done on glorified Excel sheets. The contractual terms are contained in glorified Word documents, and they do not flow across the company from one end of the company to another end of the company, as a result of which the processes are very archaic. And in the end, the poor producer or the creator of the content suffers. I think we still have a little bit of time. I am not able to see the monitor, so I'll ignore
About a
that
minute
under
44.
the maybe I can ignore that under the garb of not seeing it. But one thing, if you have noticed, we did not keep the slides, because generally what happens in a conference like this, when you put up slides, people take their cameras and capture the screenshots. That is also is content violation, right? It is also a digital rights management violation. So we did not want you to cause that sin. So we decided not to do the slides. I'm just joking. If there's any question that's there from the audience, maybe one or two, we can take up those questions, and then we can sign off this wonderful panel discussion. Yes, please. Can somebody get him a mic in the center of the hall?
And until he gets a mic, can we have a round of applause for these lovely ladies who've been helping us translate this into sign language for the hearing impaired. So thank you so much for your efforts. Thank you. And thank you, NASTEC, for having this lovely value addition. It's a very thoughtful move. So wonderful.
Well, everyone, we have opened the floor for question and answers. If we have any question, we can take up one.
Yeah, there's one that person in black shirt, or yeah, in the middle of the hall. Yes, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. If you could be a little louder, please.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So in terms of putting the blockchain into the content creation, so you are talking about the watermark. So there are many software which is in the internet which can remove the watermark. So how you can protect that case? And also secondary thing is in the YouTube, the content which is less than of 10 seconds can be not, I mean, that will not give any copyright violation. So how you will stop these two things using the blockchain?
Okay, so I can probably take
Yeah,
this, right?
please,
So,
the floor is yours.
so watermarking is something what we are actually talking against anyways. So watermarking is an old DRM technique, and any kid with some tools in hand can actually crack it. So that's one of the reason why we are talking about blockchain, and that's why we are talking about why so many production houses and singers and all these guys are working with us, because the once you actually put it on the distributed ledger, things are not in anybody's control, basically. We talk about no authority. The biggest term what we use in the blockchain is no authority, permissionless, transparent structure. These are the pillars. If you're not building your entire solution around it, you're anyways not, you're again a walled garden. So it's just a blasphemy, basically. So that's how we solve it, because the thing is that the digital footprint goes along wherever the content is going. Is going, it's actually having the, because it still needs to connect to the chain in order to actually put the whole thing together. Consider this like Tetris. I'm a gamer, so I'll use the Tetris kind of thing. There are small little blocks which are falling, and then all these blocks should get aligned. Only when that happens, this is the right content and right ownership. And that then this is how we usually, and that's how we are solving it. We are providing not just the chain side of the thing, permission and validation side of the thing. We are actually going to the bottom of the pyramid, where royalty is also being distributed using the stable coin. So the thing is, that's how we are taking care of it. I don't know if there's anything else you would like
Yeah,
to
I
add.
think the blockchain aspect is coming in purely from a decentralized nature, so that not even a single party can control it. And there is a track and trace element, and there is a transparency in the entire scheme of things. That's where the blockchain-based technology plays an important role. And to your point of 10 seconds, 10 seconds is a relief mechanism, because we do not have capability to monitor content.
They
which
reduced
is
it to
less
8
than-
seconds now.
Oh, they've now
Yeah,
reduced. So
So
which
it's 8
means
seconds.
which means the technology has taken a giant leap, so that you got a 2-second relief. So primarily, when technology takes even further giant leap, then you will be able to monitor it to probably to maybe bring it down to 0 seconds, or something of that nature, possibly. Is there any other question? Otherwise, we can close this. We can wrap this up. Okay.
All right, so but our speakers are going to be around. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Well, a big round of applause for all our speakers, ladies and gentlemen. This is Anuj Gurwara, Rajat Ojha, and Rajesh Dhuddu. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And with this, may I please request Shrivani ma'am to kindly join us and hand over the token of appreciation to our speakers for a wonderful fireside chat. Well, I must say they have made it very interesting, very informative, creative, and innovative at the same time. So thank you so much. And a quick group picture that we can store it as a memory. It was indeed a great session. Thank you very much.